Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting collection of searches you sent in this time, all clustering around uh, a specific economic event.
That's right. Looks like a lot of focus on a reported pause in tariffs, specifically with China.
Yeah, exactly. You were clearly trying to get a handle on what exactly happened there and, what the potential impact was. So let's try and unpack that.
Sounds good. The search terms definitely paint a picture, a vivid one actually, of a key moment and the sort of ripples people were tracking.
Okay, so let's dive in. The core thing seems to be what everyone was calling a tariff pause, or sometimes 90-day pause on tariffs.
Uh-huh. Relating to China.
Right. And the name Trump just pops up constantly alongside those terms. Trump pauses tariffs, things like that. So it seems pretty clear this action was linked to his administration.
Oh, definitely. The sheer frequency of those terms together shows how significant this temporary halt or maybe delay of
Ugh.
tariffs on Chinese goods was perceived to be.
And that 90-day detail really stands out too.
It does. It underscores the limited time frame. It wasn't an end to tariffs, just a pause.
And it's striking how tightly linked tariffs, tariff pause, Trump tariffs, and China were in your searches. They were just, well, inseparable in the news cycle, though.
Absolutely. It was like a snapshot of the public conversation.
Yeah.
Really highlights the main issue and, well, the key players involved.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Alongside all this tariff talk, there's this huge spike in searches about the stock market.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
seeing Dow futures, S&P 500, NASDAQ, and also broader things like stock news, stock market today live, even why is the stock market up today?
Right. So connecting the policy to the market reaction.
Exactly. You were clearly watching to see how the financial markets were taking this news. Even bonds gets a mention.
Yeah.
So what's the typical link there? How does trade policy usually affect market behavior?
Well, it's fascinating, actually. Tariffs are, at their core, taxes on imported goods. Right? So they can increase costs for businesses, potentially for consumers too. And that can, weigh on company profits and just general economic feeling.
Okay.
So a pause in those tariffs, the market might see that as a good thing, like taking some pressure off, reducing a potential drag, maybe leading to a bit more optimism.
And those specific indices, the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, they're like barometers.
Exactly. They represent big chunks of the U.S. stock market, so people watch them to gauge economic expectations. A jump might suggest confidence.
Got it. And you were also pulling info from a really wide range of news outlets. I see CNN, Bloomberg, the New York Times,
Axios, CNBC.
USA Today, even NDTV looks like a real effort to get different perspectives.
Which is smart, right? For a big event like this, getting multiple angles, different interpretations, it's pretty essential.
And the questions went deeper too. It wasn't just what happened. We see searches like, why did Trump pause tariffs?
The motivation question.
And even really fundamental ones like, what is tariffs? So trying to understand the basics alongside the specific event.
Yeah, and that why is crucial, isn't it? Was it like a strategic move in negotiations? Was it about domestic economic stuff? Understanding the reason gives you the context.
Plus, there was interest in the other side too. China response to Trump tariffs.
Right, because trade isn't a one-way street. Seeing how China reacted, or was expected to react, is vital for grasping the whole international picture.
Now, there are a couple of slightly odder terms in the mix. We saw yippee and art of the deal.
Interesting.
And also, specifically, Boeing stock. Any thoughts on why those might have surfaced?
Well, yippee could just be reflecting, positive market sentiment maybe,
Yeah.
or just general chatter online. Art of the deal, of course, directly references the former president's book and his negotiation style.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Boeing stock. That's likely because Boeing is a huge exporter, heavily involved in international trade, especially with China. So its stock price can be really sensitive to shifts in tariff policy. People were probably checking the impact on specific exposed companies.
Right, right. So pulling it all together then, the searches you sent us really zero in on that temporary halt, that 90-day pause on China tariffs during the Trump administration.
Yeah, that's the core event.
And there was this immediate, intense focus on how the financial markets were reacting. The stock indices, specific companies, the whole nine yards.
Exactly. This deep dive really shows a clear focus on a major economic policy move and its perceived ripple effects, both in the markets and potentially in international relations.
Yeah. And while this gives us a really good snapshot of what caught your attention, digging into the specific tariffs involved, the official reasons given for the pause and what the markets actually did during those 90 days, that would offer even more insight.
Definitely. Deeper layers to explore there.
It was clearly a moment that sparked a lot of thought about trade, policy, and the economy. It kind of leaves us thinking, doesn't it, about how even temporary policy shifts can send waves through the whole global system. Anyway, thanks for exploring this with us today.